some sort of tequila scotch concoction. I didn't catch the name. In '99, I was a freshman in college. My best friend Ricky and I had been talking about trying to start a business. At the time, my brother was one of the early guys at advertising.com and had been telling me about a few content websites out there that he'd been sending these huge checks to every month. I was thinking, what can I do to build an audience online and get people to look at stuff so I can put ads on the page and make money, and as simple as that. My idea was to try and build a comedy website and sort of aggregate all of the funny videos and pictures that had been circulating around the dorms the first couple months I was in school. And there was nowhere, there was no YouTube, obviously, there was no sites that were really doing that. We launched in January of 2000, and really grew traffic by guerrilla marketing. Really just like putting flyers up over urinals in the bathrooms, driving to every school in Virginia and doing the same thing. Advertising revenue was much easier to come by than it is today at a small scale. So as a result, we were making money, in month 3. I remember we got like a $10,000 check in the mail, which was like such an insane amount of money to an 18-year-old that it didn't take long for us to really get super excited and start focusing on trying to turn it into a real business. $9 million on a piece of paper and $9 million in your pocket are two very different things. The amount of cash up front would have been a small piece of that, and then the rest of the money was sort of contingent on performance over the next couple of years. And we just figured out pretty quickly that in order for us to hit those targets, which we thought we could, but we realized that we'd be able to generate that much revenue on our own, over that period of time, so it didn't really benefit us to sell the company. The business that I'm focused on today, so back in 2004 when College Humor was still growing pretty quickly, we realized that the advertising revenue that we had been generating was getting harder and harder to come by, and we hadn't yet figured out how to really play the brand ad game, which is a totally different animal than going after sort of smaller mom-and-pop e-commerce businesses and that sort of thing. So we figured, by starting a t-shirt business, that was an easy way to make money on our audience that we had coming to College Humor. We launched in 2004. The business within a couple months was almost as big as College Humor. For a little while, we weren't sure, maybe we were focusing on the wrong thing and if we should be spending more time thinking about t-shirt business. That continued for another 18 months or so until we sold the business in 2006 to IAC, at which point the focus was really shifted to College Humor. That was what IAC wanted us to focus on. So that led to a couple months ago when my time at College Humor was winding down. I'd hired a CEO in November to come and really take everything off of my plate in terms of day-to-day operations. I made that my last day at College Humor, and also the same day that I closed on buying back the Bus and Seats business. Going from working at a big public company where there's a lot of sort of red tape, and the process of making decisions is just by default much more cumbersome. It really holds you back and you just can't get anything accomplished. It feels really good to be back in a small business where we're hustling and able to make decisions quickly and have ideas that will translate into revenue in a couple hours in some cases, which is what's fun about e-commerce as well, is how quickly you can see an impact. I haven't thought that far ahead. I think right now I'm really focused on first off, extracting the business from IAC, which has been more challenging than I expected. It's kind of like pulling apart a big stack of wires. As far as growing the business, I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to do a lot more licensing and working with more brands to sort of be their solution for creating branded merchandise. And I think also we have an opportunity to to just refine what is currently there. We already have 1 million people that are coming to Busted Tees every month. We have almost 750,000 people on our mailing list. So it's a pretty substantial audience of people who are interested in what we're selling. But I think that we can expand and have the brand be relevant to other products, not just t-shirts. Beyond that, I think that on some higher level, the e-commerce space right now, it's in its infancy, and I think that there's going to be a lot of really exciting brands that launch over the next few years. You'll see a lot of brands originate online and get to that same level of brand awareness. So I think a lot about how we can utilize our existing audience and try and launch additional brands. I'm going to Babo tonight, which is pretty much my all-time favorite, all things considered. Last night I went to Beauty in Essex, which I found to be could have just as easily been in Las Vegas. Really big fan of Fedora and Joseph Leonard and all of Gabriel Stallman's places. This past winter took a food trip to Chicago to check out Alinea, which was fun. Although I think we actually preferred the next day going to Choco, which is Rick Bayless's sandwich shop, which is I think actually maybe more exciting to us than Alinea. Last year we went to El Bulli. It was phenomenal. I mean, it's 35 courses, 4 hours. I think my wife and I drank probably 3 bottles of wine between the two of us. So there was a new level of drunk and full by the end of the meal. Actually, I really like the idea of a food trip. My wife and I take a lot of vacations where we're really focused on the food. We went to Memphis recently for the World Barbecue Championship. In September, we're actually going to Noma. I'm curious, having just been to El Bulli, I'm curious how they compare. I suspect that if El Bulli wasn't closing, it would probably still hold on to the #1 spot, but we'll see. There's a big emphasis on just spending time with good people and eating good food and just having a good time. And I think that enjoying food and wine and cocktails is one of my favorite things. And I guess with all these sort of restaurants, or whether it's a particular wine or aged chartreuse or whatever the thing is, there's this idea of something being the best in the world. This is one of the best bottles of wine you can have. Or, this is the best meal in the world right now. Or I think sort of seeking out those things and just sort of having that be a reference point for other things in your life.
Look around and see all the gray that is surrounding me. Think you have an edge on a simple boy when you're talking down to me. But when I turn around and say, well, it ain't 'cause you don't stump me, I wasn't listening to you.